Now we have a special part of our assembly this morning, one that only happens every 5 years. I'd like to invite our inductees into our circle of gold for this year to come to our stage, and let's give them a round of applause as they sit here in our chairs. As we set out to celebrate our 60th anniversary year, we look forward to spending time recognizing those who have come before us and thus have been instrumental in our own school's growth and prosperity. Today we are excited to announce 10 new inductees into the Wichita Collegiate Circle of Gold. Inductions into the Circle of Gold have been made every 5 years beginning in 1998 to coincide with the school's anniversary celebrations. Thus far, we have honored 37 individuals, and after receiving over 40 nominations this year, today we'll be adding the special class of 2023. Our Circle of Gold endeavors to honor individuals who were the educational architects of Wichita Collegiate School. These individuals joining us today may have initiated a vision that helped define the school, provided leadership and support that enabled the development of the school, directed broad-based change within the school, or ensured that students were the benefactors of the collective wisdom within the school. Throughout the years, we as an institution have benefited from the wisdom and dedication of these individuals. By inviting them to our annual all-school assembly this morning, we're excited to share with them the continued excellence of our school and how we assure them that the legacy they have helped create carries on. While we have plans to honor them at a dinner later this evening, we wanted to take a moment here to recognize them in front of all of you, our students, who are still impacted by their legacies. As such, we have chosen special representatives from our faculty or our student body to help us honor each Circle of Gold recipient. First, Mrs. Barbara Burcham. Mrs. Burcham has left an indelible mark on our school. For 32 years, her dedication to our students helped shape the halls of the early childhood building. The impact of her years of service can be seen in the generations of children that have grown up to be confident, resilient adults that thrive long beyond their years at Wichita Collegiate School. Presenting Mrs. Burcham with her roses are members of our senior class who were in her pre-kindergarten class. Next, Mrs. Kathy Dackhill. Kathy first served our school as an enthusiastic and visionary parent volunteer while her children grew up on campus. Her tireless efforts took parent volunteerism to the next level, setting the bar high and elevating the school experience for all Spartans. She then returned to campus with the next generation, giving countless hours to our Board of Trustees. Her vision and generosity will be felt for years to come. Presenting Kathy with her roses are her 14 grandchildren, all of whom are current Spartans. Next, we are celebrating Mr. Tom Davis. Mr. Davis was instrumental in providing leadership and guidance at a critical time in our school's history. His long tenure as our head of school brought nearly 2 decades of stability in leadership that allowed us to flourish and meet the needs of our community. Ever present with the uncanny ability to remember the smallest details about every family. He embodies the Spartan spirit through and through. Presenting Mr. Davis with his roses is his friend and former colleague, Miss Becky O'Hearn. Unfortunately, Mrs. Kehoe couldn't be with us this morning, but let's celebrate Miss Virginia Kehoe. For 40 years, the foreign language program at Wichita Collegiate was driven by Mrs. Virginia Kehoe's quiet yet inspiring spirit. Mrs. Kehoe is the ultimate example of what a lifelong learner and teacher should be, inspiring generations of graduates with a love and understanding of language because of her. Let's hear it from Mrs. Kehoe. Unfortunately, Mrs. Diana Nixon could not be here with us this morning, but let's hear it from Mrs. Diana Nixon. Mrs. Nixon's passion for the subject she taught was evident in every lecture and project she gave. She brought learning to life in her classroom as she created memorable and hands-on experiences for her students. Her 30-plus years spent in our halls and classrooms left an unforgettable mark on our history department, our students, and our school. And next, we're going to celebrate Mr. Jerry Nixon, who unfortunately also couldn't be with us this morning. Every Spartan who graced the halls of the upper school between 1989 and 2019 is all too familiar with the legend that was Dr. Nixon. While nearly every graduate from a certain generation has a Dr. Nixon story to tell, one that no doubt speaks to his unforgettable presence, their understanding of the value of research and good writing skills is the true imprint Dr. Nixon left on them. We will celebrate all who couldn't make it this morning at our ceremony this evening. I'll just wait for this plane to go over. Next, we will celebrate Mrs. Ann Ramsire. Mrs. Ann Ramsire was instrumental in bringing service learning to our campus. Her Values in Action class was a hallmark of the collegiate experience for so many Spartans throughout the years. Long before we adopted our current mission statement of helping students become the best versions of themselves, Mrs. Ramsire was promoting, nurturing, and encouraging our students to do just that. Presenting Mrs. Ramsire with the roses are 3 of her grandchildren who are current Spartans. Let's hear it again. Next, we honor Mrs. Susie Steed. Mrs. Steed's tireless spirit and unwavering dedication to collegiate spanned nearly 30 years in her role as Director of Admissions and Communications, whether welcoming a new family into the Spartan family, marketing our school with impactful campaigns. Susie was and always will be the ultimate team player and the consummate cheerleader for collegiate. Presenting Susie with her roses is a longtime friend and colleague, Miss Barbara White. Next, we will honor Mrs. Barbara Stokely. Mrs. Barbara Stokely's passion for teaching and literature was felt by the hundreds of students that entered her classroom during her career in both the middle and upper school English department. Her ability to appreciate and know every student was seen in the hundreds of letters of recommendation she tirelessly wrote to help open the door to our graduates' next chapter in life. Presenting Mrs. Stokely with her roses are her 4 grandchildren, all of whom are current Spartans. And last but not least, we will celebrate Kathy LaValle Wagner. For over 40 years, Mrs. Wagner inspired a love of physical activity within our students, with innovative, creative lessons that transformed our gym into a vibrant classroom. Her themed units were legendary, and many of the traditions she brought to collegiate are still celebrated today, and will continue to be enjoyed by Spartans for many, many years to come. Presenting Mrs. Wagner with the roses are her great nieces and nephew, who also happen to be among her former students. So let's one last time, let's hear it for all of our Circle of Gold inductees today.